Our guest tonight, oh, we got a good one. It's Terry Shi, editor in chief of the Online Citizen. Welcome to the show, Terry.
Thank you so much, PJ.
So, tell us how you got started with the Online Citizen.
Well, I was volunteering as a photographer with the online season in 2011, which is for the general election. And from there onwards, I did not go full time into TOC. I was doing as a part time volunteer, of course, but then again, I took part in most of the activities. I was working as a fire safety engineer. So, only in 2013, when the chief editor stepped down from his post, Remy got me in as executive editor, and that's where I started to put myself full time into the whole thing.
I see. That totally makes sense because being editor in chief is about putting out fires a lot of the time, isn't
Yeah,
it?
indeed. Yeah.
So, in just 2 years, you went from photographer to editor in chief. That's quite a meteoric climb.
Well, in a way, it's a it's an endeavor. If I have the choice, I would probably not take up this role because my after all my background is an engineer. I'm not really good at words, neither in text. But then again, looking at the whole media landscape, mainstream media is not doing their job, and that's why people like me, who's not, I would say, not qualified to do all this stuff, have to
I
take up
think
this.
you're being too modest there. I
Yeah.
mean, you have done a really good job, and I'm not just saying this because you're sitting here, but I really think that you guys have made a big change in Singapore's media landscape and really helped change the political landscape as well. So now that you're editor in chief, or what are your goals? What do you want to achieve with TOC?
Well, you look at the landscape. While we have a lot of other alternative news websites, blogs, but end of the day, most of the people are still looking at mainstream media. While they can choose not to believe them, but they still have to subscribe to them because most of the news surrounding Singapore still come from them. Governments still go through them to get. So therefore, in order to be
Right.
informed of what's happening in Singapore, they have to go through the
I
media.
have to confess, I don't read the mainstream media. I just lie to myself, cut out the middleman.
Indeed, but then again, even for the government, they need a platform to disseminate their information. But then again, for mainstream media, they could really buck up, change their style, and perform and present the information as factual or filtered instead of presenting like what one would expect of North Korea. That you present what the government said as something that is like from God. It should be something of I take it this government is saying something. I'm taking it with
Yeah.
some bit of skepticism and
A pinch of salt.
yeah, a pinch of
Yes.
salt, and I do my own investigation and see whether or not the government is saying what is this.
Right.
But if you tune in to like Channel 5, Channel 8 News,
Yeah.
you just hear the tone in which they are presenting the news. That they're presenting the whatever the government or the minister say as 100% fact.
Right. As
Uh,
gospel from
as,
up
as
high.
gospel, yes, you cannot doubt whatever they say.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
which is wrong.
Yeah.
Whether you're reading news from like TOC or any other news website or whether it's government, you always need to think, okay, what are the facts that surround this thing?
Yes.
Is it an opinion or is it a factual point of view?
Right.
And um, and mainstream media has always not been cultivating um, this way of thought, and
Yes.
which is why employers, or is it like foreigners, people from overseas will find that Singaporeans do not think that much. They do not do critical thought process.
It's a real pity because Singapore, of course, historically is famous for having a very vibrant press,
Yeah.
right? Until the 1950s, we
Yeah.
had a massive independent news media that was basically shut down because of the 1974 Newspapers and Printing Presses Act.
Yes.
Yes. So, what is your proudest achievement? Have you ever managed to scoop the mainstream media or and managed to hold, a politician accountable?
I I for politician wise, I don't think I have ever managed to say, okay, grab him and swat and say, could Mr. Maybe my MP, Mr. Gam Ki Yong, can you answer something about the lack of hospital shortages? No, I couldn't. one
You
thing
don't
is,
have a media pass,
yeah,
obviously. Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
TOC is not recognized as a media.
Right.
Yeah, although we are registered under MDA, but
Right.
we are not given media accreditation.
Right.
So apart from that, other scoops, yes, scoops that are that news agency would definitely have access to, but the problem is they cannot report, or they are so-called not within their line.
Yeah.
I would say, when Little India Riot came out, mainstream media was really slow in reporting the whole thing. They were waiting for more information to be given out by the police,
Right.
by SPF. So when I got hold of the news from a friend who happened to have a friend who is in the riot squad, and that's where
I see. I
I got
see.
hold of the information.
Right.
And I have to think, okay, do I take a cab now? Yeah. So eventually
Yeah.
it took me about, I think, 10 minutes to decide. Okay, let's take a cab now.
Right.
And so when I got there, it was a kind of the aftermath. But then
Yeah.
again, people get to see how to what extent was the carnage. I would say, burned up police cars, crash
Right.
cars. You see that the whole pavement, people were taking out the stones to break and to throw at the police.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
and was also speaking to the residents who was like at the shop. Yeah.
So
And the
wait, but
yeah.
the flip side, I mean, the
Yeah.
flip side of speed. You know, the mainstream media will say, "Oh, but you know, we practice a journalistic code of conduct.
Yeah.
We have three sources.
Yeah.
We have dedicated research and newsroom teams." And for the online citizen, really, it's just what, two or three people, right?
That's correct. When we say source, right, it depends on what kind of news you are talking about. I think in terms of normally when you have like a dispute between a shop and a customer, that's basically just the two side. Or what's the store point of view and what's the customer point of view. When it comes to government policies, that is more it's a more complicated, because it's like certain policy benefits certain segment of the population while the other might not. Like some might say that, oh, housing board policy is actually very good because I managed to profit from my sale. But what
Right.
about the younger generation who have to pay more?
Yes.
So these are stories. Okay, but we are referring to breaking news, right?
Yes.
For breaking news, if you're saying about the speed, uh, most of the time what we do, we verify with the person who let's say give us a photo, give us a video before sharing it out. But then again, right, if the point of the news is about this, like example marches instant in like think 2013 or 2012, where the Ferrari crashed, that was clear cut. It's just accident happened.
Right.
Yeah, and someone drove a car like that. So I wouldn't say that there's need to verify. But what we do is also do counter check on tweets, especially.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I see.
Twitter is like
Okay.
Twitter is actually a very good source in terms of verifying that certain things happen, because when you have like in forum, right, you have group think, but then Twitter is kind of, you have like separate segments of individuals like living in different
I
parts,
see,
or
that's
totally,
interesting.
totally don't know each other, but they're saying the same stuff.
I wouldn't have thought of that.
Yeah.
But then
yeah.
in Oxford, we're still in the 18th century in many ways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that is, I think that is simply but using the tweet is simply to confirm that there is this thing. Like
Right.
example, train breakdowns.
Yes.
Train breakdowns, we also use tweets to confirm that there's such disruption. So given that train disruption might need to be have a certain level to cause inconvenience for people to rant on social media. So
I see.
if it's so serious that people
Yeah.
are pissed off, they will go. So the number of tweets would so-called show express how severe is the disruption. So remember, I think a few months ago when we had the major disruption on Friday, and that you can see the amount of people who are affected was so much. I was reading tweets from 6 o'clock all the way on to 10 to midnight.
Right.
Yeah.
So the TOC is kind of also an expression of popular will in some ways, then, because you do you let Twitter guide the kind of stories you choose as well. If you see something blow up on Twitter, would you then go and pursue that story?
It also depends though. Like the news that we cover, depend. Apart from government policy, it's also about, by reporting this news, does it provide an angle of discussion?
Yes, I see.
Yeah, if it's someone just like ranting about poor service and stuff, which doesn't really it's like one-off incident. then that should be. But of course, if the angle is different, like how did the company handle this? Was it very bad? Was it something to improve on? Then we report
Okay.
on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what are your plans for this general election then?
Well, general election is already started.
Yes.
I think it's comparing to the last election. The last election, I don't think we had an amount of people to cover all the nomination centers. But this time around, I think we had all the nine. But then again, there were due to resources, I don't think we managed to make the full use of the volunteers that we had in all the
Yeah.
nine centers. And moving on, we did look back onto the so-called the work that we did in nomination, and we see how can we move forward for the next, I think, 9 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
What can readers expect? Can you give us a taste, a preview?
Okay, one will be, of course, a daily sum up of the day's event, or I'll say the day before event, and also we would have more commentaries on the policies, the manifestos that the other political parties have given, and also we would have, if possible, commentaries on whether or not candidates have been saying the factual or baseless accusation against one another, so that the voters that can be more informed that what they read is exactly what it is.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for taking time out of your really busy schedule, Terry.
Thank you, PJ, for your time.
All right, and we'll be right back.